Obsession grabs your attention with a fascinating concept and an eerie atmosphere that lingers long after the credits roll. Centered around the mysterious One Wish Willow, the film tells the story of a hopeless romantic who makes a desperate decision to win over the girl he loves. After breaking the supernatural tree and making his wish, he quickly realizes that getting exactly what you want can come with horrifying and deeply sinister consequences. It's a premise that feels like a blend of classic cautionary folklore and modern psychological horror, and for the most part, the film succeeds at creating a generally unsettling experience. Directed by newcomer Curry Barker, Obsession has easily been one of my most anticipated films of this year. The hype surrounding this movie over the past year and a half has been massive, especially online, with people constantly praising the trailer, the atmosphere, and Barker's unique approach to horror storytelling. Unfortunately, I think my own obsession with this movie may have worked against me to some extent. I walked into this film expecting something groundbreaking, and while I definitely enjoyed what I saw, it definitely didn't live up to the towering expectations I had built in my head about this film. That being said, calling this movie a disappointment almost feels unfair because there's still so much here that works incredibly well. The strongest aspect of this film is easily the acting. Every cast member gives an emotionally committed performance, and even when the dialogue occasionally slips into awkward or cringe-worthy territory, the actors still manage to make the scenes feel believable. The lead performance especially carries the emotional weight of the story perfectly, making his character's descent into desperation, paranoia, and guilt feel generally tragic. You understand his motivations even when his actions become increasingly manic. Indy Navarrette's acting in this film is wild and so brilliantly done. I really liked her gentle nature towards the start of the film and her manic and psychotic turn as the film progressed. Also, the themes of her utter confusion during the earlier scenes gave this film also a more disturbing feel towards it. Another major highlight is the lore behind the One Wish Willow itself. Horror movies live and die by the strength of their own mythology, and Obsession does an excellent job building intrigue around this cursed object. The film slowly reveals pieces of the Willow's history through old stories, local legends, and unsettling encounters, making it feel ancient, mysterious, and generally dangerous. There's a real sense that the characters are messing with something far beyond their understanding. I honestly found myself wanting even more exploration into the lore because it was one of the most interesting parts of the entire movie for me. Visually, the film is also very impressive, especially considering this is Barker's breakout feature and his first movie as well. The cinematography creates a constant sense of unease using dark lighting, lingering close ups, and eerie sound design to make even simple scenes feel uncomfortable. The atmosphere is thick from beginning to end, and there are several moments where the tension becomes almost unbearable. Parker clearly understands how to craft mood and suspense, and there are flashes throughout the movie that show the potential of a great horror director. However, the film definitely struggles with pacing. The first half moves much slower than it probably needed to, and there are several scenes that feel repetitive or stretched out longer than they should have. Some of the dialogue also feels unnatural, especially during the emotional conversations, which occasionally weakens the impact of certain scenes. There were moments where I could feel the movie trying a little too hard to sound profound or emotional instead of letting the horror naturally speak for itself. But despite those issues, once Obsession reaches its final act, the movie completely transforms into something absolutely insane. The slow burn finally explodes into full chaos, and the film goes absolutely batshit crazy in a way that horror fans will absolutely love. The imagery becomes more disturbing, the tension skyrockets, and the psychological elements spiral into pure nightmare fuel. Without spoiling anything, the last 30 minutes contains some of the film's strongest and most memorable sequences, proving that Barker absolutely knows how to deliver intense horror when he needs to. Unfortunately, the ending itself didn't fully land for me. I understand and appreciated the anticlimactic direction the director was aiming for, and thematically, it makes sense within the story the film is trying to tell. However, emotionally, it just didn't hit as hard as I wanted it to. After such a wild and emotionally intense build up, the conclusion felt slightly underwhelming and lacked the final punch needed to truly elevate the film into something completely unforgettable. It's not a terrible ending by any means, it just feels like it could have been executed better, in my opinion. Even with these criticisms, I still think Obsession is a very good horror movie and one of the more interesting genre films to come out this year. It may not have fully lived up to the impossible expectations I was personally hoping for, but it absolutely proves that Curry Barker is a filmmaker worth paying attention to in the long run. There's genuine creativity, ambition, and passion behind this movie, and that alone makes it stand out among so many forgettable horror movie releases that have came out this year. If this is what Curry Barker can do this early in his career, I genuinely cannot wait to see what he brings to the next installment with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. He clearly has the talent, style, and understanding of horror needed to create something special within the horror genre. So my rating for this movie is 3.5 out of 5. Because I was so hyped up for this movie, I was hoping that this would be a perfect 5 out of 5. Unfortunately, it's not that good for me. But with me saying that, it's still a 3.5 out of 5 movie for me, and I still liked it.